Hibiki Kuze, the protagonist, and his best friend, Daichi Shijima, have just finished their mock exams in school. They go to Shibuya to shop and watch a movie. While wondering what they should do afterward, Daichi introduces the Nakia website, which sends the death clip of one's friend to Hibiki and forcefully registers in his cell phone. In the subway platform, they notice their schoolmate, Io Nida, of a different class is waiting for the train also. While discussing Nida, they receive a death clip from Nakia of each other. Realizing they are right in the scene of the death clip and the oncoming train, they are too late to leave the station as it starts to crumble. The navigational AI of Nakia, Tiko, asks Hibiki if he wants to live or die. He chooses to live, and Nakia forcefully installs the demon summoning app on his phone. When the three students are awakened in the now collapsed station, kobolds appear from the dead cell phones to attack and devour humans. Ogre comes out from Io's cell phone and Poltergeist from Daichi's to fight off other malignant demons out of the blue, buying time for the three to escape. Daichi is able to contact his mother, confirming his and Hibiki's families have safely evacuated, but Io cannot contact her family due to sudden network outage. Hibiki suggests to Io that they escort her to her home in Ariake until they have figured out the true nature of the demon summoning app. After they have arrived at Shimbashi Station, W descends from the sky among the crowd. Realizing the unidentified object is moments away from attacking everyone, Hibiki shouts at the crowd to flee, in vain. The three run before its head explodes and shoots out projectiles that burn anything they hit. Hibiki tells Io to summon Ogre to protect them. At this time, Hibiki receives another death clip of Daichi which shows him in a truck. Ogre falls for taking too much damage from Dubhi, then a truck driven by Daichi rushes to Dubhi and creates another blast. Dubhi is apparently unscathed from the ram, but Hibiki's cell phone has finished downloading a demon, which is Byakko. The beast is summoned and finishes Dubhi. Daichi turns out to have been saved by Pixie, a new demon summoned by Io, before the truck hits Dubhi. Amazed that the ability to summon the demon is powerful as Byakko, Makoto Sako arrests all three. Elsewhere, a mysterious man, Alker, observes everything and refers to Hibiki as Shining One. Hibiki, Daichi, and Io are brought to the JP's headquarters. While Hibiki is taken to the command room, Daichi and Io are taken to another room. The chief, Yamato Hatsuen, and his right-hand woman, Makoto Sako, explain that the mysterious invaders, named Septentrians, will destroy the whole world and can only be defeated by demons under the command of a human summoner. The next day, Hibiki agrees to consider cooperating with JPs if they liberate Daichi and Io. Makoto then drives the three to Ariake to investigate Io's home. But the rainbow bridge that would have been their path there has collapsed, so they change course to the nearby church which is being used as a refugee camp. In the refugee camp, Io cannot find any news of her family and is in despair. At the same time, the church is attacked by a bunch of Itsumaids appearing from the hostless cell phone. Hibiki summons Byakko to fight. Makoto also summons power to aid Hibiki and destroys the cell phone which runs amok. After this incident, Hibiki is determined to fight for humanity. Daichi and Io also join him because they feel the same obligation. Yamato gives them their first orders: head to Osaka and look for the missing JP's scientist, Fumi Kano. Afterwards, Yamato is visited by Alker, who questions why he didn't keep Hibiki by his side. Yamato replies that he's not the type of person who will die easily, so it won't be necessary. Realizing that Yamato has high hopes for Hibiki, Alker states that he will also be hoping for a new Shining One before disappearing. Elsewhere, in Nagoya, a man states that they're ready to put their plan into motion and won't let Yamato do as he pleases. Under Yamato's orders, Hibiki, Daichi, and Io take the JP's train to Osaka to help find their chief scientist, Fumi Kano, who has lost contact with headquarters. They are greeted by another summoner of JP's, Hinako Kyuju, at their arrival, but the other summoner, Keita Wakui, is less welcoming of the trio and returns to his mission of hunting down malignant demons by himself. At the same time, Hinako receives Keita's death clip that shows his dead body lying at the base of a large stairway that Hinako recognizes. Hibiki instantly concludes that the scene of Keita's death is related to the hacker attack and attempts to inform Keita of his impending demise. All four summoners head to an abandoned theme park where the hacker has been located. They arrive just in time for Hinako to summon Lilim, rescuing Keita as he was about to fall from the stairs, supposedly averting Keita's death clip. The group tries to fend off the enemy demons, but soon learn that they are constantly being resummoned by the unknown hacker. A powerful demon named Bodis appears, who almost kills Io and is revealed to be the demon who kidnapped and brainwashed Fumi. Hibiki and Keita team up to defeat Bodis, allowing Daichi to destroy the computer equipment used to attack JPs. As the group starts to relax, Bodis suddenly reappears and blasts the area with lightning, causing everyone to flee as debris falls. While Daichi manages to save Fumi from the falling debris, Keita ends up taking the full brunt of Bodhi's Zyodine in Hibiki's stead and is sent falling down the stairs to his death, just as the death clip had predicted. Meanwhile, JP's detects the arrival of a new Septentrione in Osaka. Hibiki is grief-stricken by Keita's death in preparation for the battle against Marek. Elsewhere, Alker is observing Marek's attack with Bodhi's and discussing whether humans will be able to win or not. Daichi is assigned to the medical team due to his demons being too weak to fight. Inako tells Io to stay by Hibiki's side since he's still blaming himself for Keita's death. Yamato places all the JP's summoners and officials at different lines of defense before the tower, which is under the process of restoring the spiritual barrier of Osaka. Hibiki arrives on time to save Hinako from Marek's attack and resolves to defeat Marek before it can advance any further. However, Byaku's Zyodine fails to scratch Marek, while it, in turn, proceeds to injure Byaku. All the other summoners, including Hinako, begin to prioritize Hibiki's and Byaku's safety over their own. Hibiki wakes up to find everyone dead, except Hinako, who barely survives and tells Hibiki about Io before passing out. Alker suddenly appears behind Hibiki, introducing himself and vaguely talks about man's choices which affects others, such as Hibiki's disobedience results in Io acting as his replacement at the rear defense. Shocked by his own ignorance, Hibiki rides on Byaku to pursue Marek, stating to Alker that it's because he received the power to summon demons that he decides to do something to help others. Io finishes downloading her new demon, Kikuri Jaime. Covered by other JP's demons, she is dealing some substantial damage to Marek and shatters some of its shells, but still unable to survive its circumpolarity. Marek then sheds its shell, preparing an even stronger circumpolarity at the cost of its own defenses, but Hibiki arrives in time to destroy Marek. While it dissolves, Marek attempts a last-ditch attempt to kill Hibiki, but a mysterious man summons Hagen to slice down the Septentrione. He introduces himself to Hibiki as someone who hates JP's and warns him that Yamato is not trustworthy. Hibiki then leaves with the man behind Io's lament. Meanwhile, JP's Nagoya headquarters is reported to be seized by the rioters from Ronaldo Kuriki's faction, the former JP's member who has just lured Hibiki away. JP's orders their troop to travel to Nagoya by train in order to take back the branch which has been seized by Ronaldo's faction. Upon arrival, they receive Hibiki's death clip, apparently engaged in a fierce battle. Fumi has awoken and starts rebuilding the terminal program which she herself previously erased while brainwashed by Bodhi's, but starts doubting Yamato's foreknowledge of all the things that have just happened. She has privately informed Io about the location of JP's Nagoya branch and how to get on JP's train without notice. Meanwhile, somewhere in Nagoya, Eriban and Django Tori, two JP's summoners who have escaped Ronaldo's raid, plan to take back the JP's Nagoya base, using a secret tunnel that the insurgents are unaware of. At a park in Nagoya which is occupied by many refugees, Io and Daichi see the insurgents distributing the rations looted from JP's to civilians. Soon afterward, a horde of legions appear and attack everyone in the park. Io summons Kikuri Jaime and defeats many of the demons while Daichi's demons still prove to be too weak. In JP's Nagoya branch, Otome Yanagita is treating injured JP's officials from the rioters' attack. Ronaldo enters the room with Hibiki and reveals Yamato's ambition to establish a meritocracy system onto the world through the defeat of all Septentrians. Otome and another summoner Yuzuru Joeki decide to aid Ronaldo in any way they can. Alker appears before Yamato, who greets him coldly, saying that the game has only begun and that strength and power are what shapes the world, to which Alker says that he is no longer the Shining One, despite saying that Yamato has never changed and asks if there are no other possibilities for his ideals to come true. Yamato replies that there is none, and promises he will prove it to him. As Yamato leaves, Alker asks him if he believes Hibiki will win, and at that moment, Yamato receives a friend's death clip and seeing it to be Hibiki's, surprising him. He turns to Alker, who has already vanished. Eri and Django make their way through shafts wanting to re-enter the JP's base, while Io and Daichi ask an insurgent to quickly take them to where Hibiki is located. At that moment, Joe enters, accompanied by Daichi and Io. Daichi tells Hibiki of his death clip and wants him to return, but Hibiki chooses to stay. He states that he does not want his friends involved in the fight and risking their lives, but Daichi and Io do not wish to leave him. Moved by his friends' resolve, he thanks them. Eri summons Kate Sif as Django summons Neko Shogun, easily defeating the insurgents' demons. Though Django doesn't want to fight other people, when Hibiki realizes that a fight is happening, the area starts to shake as the next Septentrione, Fekta, makes its entrance. All the summoners, including Eri and Django, work together to attack Fekta. Fekta shoots bolts of electricity, defeating all their demons. Just when Ronaldo believes that Nagoya is doomed, Hibiki and the others arrive, summoning Suzaku, Kikuri Jaime and Otome's own demon Saraswati to attack the Septentrione. Fecta splits itself into two and shoots a powerful concentrated beam that instantly defeats Suzaku and Kikuri Hime. Hibiki refuses to quit, and as he tries to summon Byako, Fecta shoots another beam at him but is blocked by Sarasvati. As Fecta readies another beam at Hibiki, Cerberus arrives, heavily damaging the Septentrione immediately after. Fumi appears on a screen and reveals that while Ronaldo and his group had their hands full, JP's has successfully retaken the Nagoya branch. The others ask how Yamato arrived so quickly from Tokyo. Hibiki angrily asks Yamato why he didn't use his own power to fight. Yamato stoically replies that it is necessary in order to face Judgment Day that he requires pawns to act by his orders. Yamato simply states his ideology of might makes right. As Ronaldo's group prepares to attack, having retaken his phone, Hibiki summons Byako, annoying Yamato and causing Hibiki to realize that Yamato came and defeated Fecta to save him. Everyone questions who Alker is since he seems not to be a member of JP's. In response to Hibiki's shock, Yamato tells him that Hibiki is a weapon to defeat Septentrione, nothing more than that. Seeing Yamato's stubbornness, and Alker responds that he is merely the anguished one and has no intention of becoming his enemy. Alker reveals that he was the one who created Nakia app, and thanks to this decision, he found a new shining one, Hibiki. Yamato cuts him off, saying that concepts like the shining one do not exist. He then tells Hibiki that a new Septentrione will appear the next day in 3 different locations to attack all barriers at once, and entrusts him to defend Osaka's. Hibiki retorts that he will not become Yamato's pawn, and will make his own decisions. Bodis asks Alker if he intends to oppose his master's will, and Alker replies that the presence of the Shining One has instilled his hope in humanity. Alker bid Yamato farewell as he said that he wished he'd been the Shining One. Yamato muses that things like Shining Ones and friends are complicated. The next day, JP's is having a physical examination for all staff. Fumi transported herself to Tokyo and was greeted by Makoto. This makes Fumi question whether Hibiki really is important enough to Yamato. Makoto explains that Hibiki at this point has become an important weapon, something which upsets her. In another room, Otome and Io exchange their opinions regarding the situation they are in. Later, the group prepares to fight the 3 Megra's bodies, with Hibiki, Io, and Daichi in charge of Osaka, the rest of the JP's stronger members in Nagoya, and Yamato in Tokyo on his own. Once they reach Osaka Terminal, the 3 are welcomed by Hinako and joins Hibiki and the others in the mission. Back in Tokyo, in Fumi's room, Makoto picks her up, telling her to be on standby. Fumi tells Makoto that she has found Io to be a suitable sacrifice for Lug. He summoners prepare to face each Megra's body as it approaches the towers. Eri, Django, Ronaldo, Otome, and Joe are stationed at Nagoya. Hibiki, Io, Daichi, and Hinako are stationed at Osaka, while Yamato defends Tokyo by himself. As each Megra's body surfaces, the summoner teams begin their attacks, forcing them to employ stronger attacks against it. Daichi brings out his newly acquired Heket to do battle. It retreats to the safety of his phone. Hinako initiates her summoning app until a core is revealed. Hibiki employs Byako to annihilate the core, but the Megra's body simply resurrects and continues its journey. Meanwhile, in Tokyo, Yamato has fully utilized both his summoning app and the tower to set up a magic circle that impedes Megra's Tokyo's movement. Using Ball and Cerberus, he single-handedly defends the tower and commands the teams to destroy all 3 bodies simultaneously. Each team then pursues Megra's while whittling down its shell in order to expose its cores. At the same time, the other Megra's bodies have had their cores exposed, and each team leader simultaneously annihilates them. Later that day, Yamato and Fumi head underground to find an ancient relic, Lug's spear, Brionek. They comment that JP's has spent a significant amount of time trying to modify it for use. Alker appears to remind him that 3 more Septentrions remain. Hibiki expresses his frustration over Alker's refusal to help the humans, and Alker explains that the whole situation is intended as a trial for humanity to prove itself. Polaris had been intending to erase the existence of humans due to them straying too far from its vision of natural order, but Alker disagreed with this viewpoint and thus created Nakia to give humans a choice of either showing their will to Polaris or being consumed by the void. Almost as if on cue, the void enters Hibiki's view from across the horizon. It is explained that the void is not just mere destruction. All traces of humanity and their world are being erased from existence. Alker mentions that after all 7 Septentrions are defeated, the path to Polaris will open, allowing for humanity to seek an audience with Polaris. Hibiki begins to question his motive of saving the world if there won't be much left to save. Alker appears in Hibiki's room. They discuss Alker's past with Yamato, and Alker disagrees with Yamato's choice of ruling the world as a meritocracy. Alker also expresses his anguish over being a tool of Polaris and thus unable to oppose its will. Hibiki allows Alker to remain with him so long as Alker is confirmed to not be an enemy, with some unfortunate timing. Daichi and Io turn up at Hibiki's room, forcing him to get them to understand Alker's nature and keep his location a secret for the time being. Meanwhile, Hinako and Eri get called over to the command center. Makoto explains that the 5th Septentrione is due to appear. After the rest of the demon tamers arrive, Makoto explains that Alioth will manifest in the ionosphere, far outside the attack range of the demon tamers' demons. In order to hit it, they will need to recreate a myth. Alioth's location is then discovered to be right above Sapporo. The plan is as follows: Hinako's aptitude for dancing will be used to draw Shiva's attention and ease its summoning. As soon as Kama is summoned, hitting Alioth in the process. Despite Alioth telegraphing an attack on Sapporo, the plan goes off perfectly and Alioth's core is destroyed in a single hit. As Django and Eri return to the terminal, JP's picks up several large masses falling towards Sapporo. All JP's staff return unscathed, but the remaining civilian population there is killed in the impact. Yamato is merely content with the Septentrione being destroyed and the tower unscathed, and Hibiki calls him out again on that mentality. Later that day, Hibiki examines the contents of the thumb drive from Ronaldo and learns that the Hatsuen family knew of the invasion the whole time and attained power to prepare for it. He discovers Yamato's intent to survive the 7 days and create a new world based on national refinement curriculum. Yamato treats the demon tamers to a feast to celebrate the mission being perfectly completed. However, the knowledge of Sapporo being destroyed has given a tense atmosphere. Hibiki points out what he has learned, that in seeking an audience with Polaris, Yamato has the ability to remake the world to his own ideals. As Io reflects on this turn of events, Makoto turns up at her room to inform her of the next day's mission. Tomorrow, you will die for us. Makoto elaborates on her statement, saying that Io has been found to be compatible for the possession of Lug. Io breaks down after Makoto takes her leave. The next day, Hibiki, Daichi, and Io are treated to breakfast made by Alker. While Daichi and Io indulge themselves, Hibiki holds his suspicion over whether the food is safe to consume, being made by non-human hands. Yamato brushes it off, saying that friendship and emotions mean nothing to him. Mizar appears in Tokyo, attempting to attack the barrier itself. And Yamato adds that Mizar's attacks are predictable and that JP's already has a plan for it. Yamato retorts by mentioning that Mizar's replication ability means that it will outlast even his Cerberus and Hibiki's Byakko in a war of attrition. Mizar would envelop the surface and kill everyone in the process. Unable to sit back and watch as Io struggles to contain Lug and uses it to unleash the power of the dragon stream, Makoto explains that both Io and Lug work as a means to control the dragon as it consumes Mizar. As Hibiki pursues Io, the dragon's consumption outraces Mizar's replication, annihilating it without any input from the demon tamers. Having completed its job, the final head of the dragon crashes to the ground and turns into stone. After Hibiki gets injured by a preemptive attack from Lug, Yamato tells it that Io's body would only last for a few minutes, but Lug finds that amount of time to be sufficient to enact its punishment. Lug flies off towards JP's Tokyo headquarters. Lug arrives at the Diet building, effortlessly eliminating JP's defenses. It prepares to destroy JP's along with Yamato, but its attack is intercepted by Hibiki's Suzaku. While commanding Ball to kill her, the ensuing struggle results in both Ball's and Suzaku's defeat. As Lug continues to struggle against Hibiki, Hibiki calls out to Io and tries to bring her spirit back. Io admits that she chose to die because she cannot live on without her parents. Hibiki collapses from the strain in channeling the dragon stream's power, and Yamato commands JP's to collect and restore him. Io declares that she will not follow Yamato, and Yamato decides that he will simply use all of his power to kill everyone if nobody chooses to side with him. Daichi, Io, and Hinako are watching Hibiki, who is still unconscious in the ICU. Daichi and Io start to blame themselves for being powerless in comparison to Hibiki's efforts. Eri and Django arrive, and Eri comforts Io, telling her that blaming herself will not help Hibiki. In Hibiki's room, as Alker patiently waits for Hibiki's return, Alker reveals that he has grown to like them and does not wish for them to disappear, then briefly visits Hibiki, telling him he must go to observe the world's fate, which he has brought forth even if it's the end of all. Elsewhere, Fumi has installed Nakia into her and Makoto's cell phones since it's much stronger than her own replica. Makoto thanked Fumi for what she had done, though Fumi replies that she only did that because she liked it. The next morning, Hinako greets Daichi and Eri, finding Hibiki still unconscious. Yamato uses his magic to defend as the rest of the summoners summon their demons to defeat Bennett Nash. Yamato can no longer hold Bennett Nash back as it breaks his barrier. Unable to call his demons, Yamato depends on his own magic to fight it. Bennett Nash launches multiple Mega's buds, which then develop into exploding W clones, cornering and killing Eri, Django, and Hinako. When it was about to kill Makoto, Daichi, and Io, Hibiki arrived in time to protect them. Saddened by his friends' deaths and angered that Yamato abandoned all of them, Hibiki relentlessly attacks Bennett Nash as he tells Yamato that he wishes to restore the world and prevent the same things from happening again. Yamato challenges Hibiki to either kill him or hold his peace, and warns that he will kill him if he continues to interfere. Alker then appears, telling Yamato he won't let him kill Hibiki. Alker decides to kill Yamato and entrust the future to Hibiki, and the two former friends begin fighting. Yamato lures Alker near the Tokyo Tower so he can channel the Dragon Stream's power to increase his own power. Alker tells Yamato that through his interaction with Hibiki, he became a person and not a mere tool of Polaris. Both then each receive each other's death clip and proceed with the fight, knowing that one of these deaths will be by their own hands. Hibiki receives both Alker and Yamato's death clips and resolves to try and stop the fight, remembering his promise with Yamato that he will stop him. As Alker's battle with Yamato continues, Yamato starts to lose his stamina since he has an upper limit when it comes to channeling the Dragon Stream. With Cerberus in top form, Yamato summons Cerberus, but it's easily defeated by Alker. Yamato summons Nibiru's and Zeu-Gonjin, finally turning the tide. Alker, refusing to give up and let Hibiki die, catches Yamato, planning to self-destruct and kill them both. Hibiki arrives, but was too late to prevent Alker and they explode, greatly upsetting Hibiki as he questioned Polaris' trial. To his shock, Yamato turns out to have survived the explosion and opens the path to Polaris by using the terminal. He then purposely makes his cell phone run amok so that Nibiru's and Zeu-Gonjin will stop Hibiki while he's going to meet Polaris. Hibiki has difficulty fighting against the two demons until Io and Daichi arrive, telling him to go while they fend off the two demons with Kikuri Jaime, Lug, and Black Frost. Reluctantly, Hibiki activates the terminal and witnesses Daichi and Io being engulfed by the void before he departs. Daichi and Io start to lose their memories by the void before disappearing completely, but not before placing their hopes in Hibiki to save the world. Hibiki reaches Yamato at the Akasha Stratum, declaring he will keep his promise to stop him. Realizing that Polaris would only appear after the victor is decided, Hibiki and Yamato summon their respective demons, Byakko and Cerberus, to decide who will meet Polaris and decide the fate of the world once and for all. As Byakko and Cerberus clash against each other, Yamato explains that their survival has been determined by Polaris, the equivalent of God, though said God is not omnipotent, as Alker's development has demonstrated. He further says that it is responsibility of those who born with power to lead the weak whether they wish for it or not, and it was the misled choices of the incompetent that led to the decay of their previous world. Hibiki tries to convince Yamato of the errors of his ways, saying that forcibly removing humanity's ability to make their choices would not be one they would live in, but Yamato dismisses Hibiki's reasoning as mere ramblings of a peace-loving fool. Hibiki begins to question whether anyone helped Yamato shoulder his great responsibility and asks why he came all the way to Nagoya to save him. Yamato answers that he saved him because he is a tool needed for his plan, but Hibiki points out that Yamato received his death clip, and death clips only appear to one's friends. Yamato continues to retort Hibiki's words until he suddenly coughs out blood from overusing his power, allowing Byakko to defeat Cerberus together with itself. Hibiki pleads Yamato to stop and start over as friends. However, Yamato still refuses in order to protect his dignity and challenges Hibiki to kill him if he thinks he is a friend. He uses the Demon Fusion app to merge Nibiru's and Zeu-Gonjin into Satan, easily overpowering Hibiki despite his ability to channel the Dragon Stream. To his shock, however, Hibiki survives a potentially lethal attack from Satan thanks to Black Frost's protection. He then begins to receive the signature demons from all his deceased friends, and performs a sequence of demon fusions, forming Zhao-Chao-Un, Purple Mirror, Ariok, Loki, and Metatron, eventually culminating in Lucifer. Lucifer easily destroys Satan and defeats Yamato. As Hibiki embraces the dying Yamato, he tells him not to shoulder everything alone anymore. Yamato is pleased that Hibiki managed to stop him as promised and dies satisfied. Polaris appears before Hibiki and he tells his wish. The world is restored to the day right before the invasion. Hibiki stands up and looks up to the sky, resolving to continue living. This is the end of the video, so please watching all of my anime recap series. Thanks for watching.